and we will start recording for the YouTube VOD because I'm not going to be streaming this to YouTube as well. Thank you so much for the subscription, Safari Guy. You were listening to Old Linkin Park and you missed Chester. Yeah, man, that's some good stuff. But today we are going to be playing Guess the Banzuke. Oh, that's another subscription. Thank you, Princess Arden, for your subscription as well. Let's get rid of that sumo text at the bottom. We're going to be playing the Guess the Banzuke game, and now I realize I'm kind of in the way of it, so I'm going to scooch myself over here while I crack open this drink that my roommates so graciously gave to me. I love you, Princess. So, most of this video is going to be playing the Banzuke guessing game, but a good chunk of it is also going to be making a case for a Takayasu Ozeki push. And we will get there when we get there. First, we have to go through Sanyaku ranks. These guys... Oh wait, actually, Teruno Fuji, there is going to be no Yokozuna spot. So, we already have something special happening in the Banzuke. So we do have some news. We do have some new things coming out. First things first, Yutakiyama retiring due to a nagging elbow injury. So he's gone. Chiyotairyu retired mid Basho. He's gone. Teruno Fuji, recovering quite well, is expected to be back in April. And thank you so much, Benij, for a gift subscription to my brother. I do appreciate that. So, the latest bit of news we got was Teruno Fuji is slated to be back for the Jungyo tour during April. So, definitely going to be gone in January. Not slated to be back in March, but it's okay. But as for the next unusual thing that's going to be happening on this Banzuke, Teruno Fuji is going to be an Ozeki, and Takakeisho is going to be demoted a half of a rank because Shodai is falling to Sekiwake 2 West because of that 6-9 scoreline, and that means he is Kadoban. And because there are only 2 Yokozuna / Ozeki, there is going to be Teruno Fuji, the Yokozuna Ozeki, and Takakeisho is going to be Ozeki. And then, well, this one's going to be obvious. Whole Shoryu is going to leapfrog Wakataka Kage. Now, for the rest of this, we're going to start color coding things. So the losers are going to be in red. The winners are going to be in green. That way we can more easily move people up and down the Banzuke. Let's see. After I'm done color coding these guys, I will move them back and forth. And if anyone in the chat had any questions about my 15 days videos too. Oh, that's the wrong thing. You can feel free to ask for any you can ask for any requests as well, because I do have 2 weeks worth of guys already on queue. And I know I didn't get everybody's favorites. Someone already suggested Hirado Umi for his 10 and 5, which is definitely doable. Oh, I did it again. And Takanosho I missed. He is red. Someone also asked for Terutsuyoshi, which is also definitely doable. But yes, Shodai dancing in between raindrops again. It's very true. Shodai is on thinner than thin ice. And, well, we already know how this very tippy top of the Banzuke is going to go. Am I doing my favorites of the lower ranks? Yes, I am. So that's one thing that I do like about the fact that I've been making these 15 days videos, is that they've given me a buffer on when I actually have to make new and original content. So after this upcoming second week, there's 7 more guys that are going to have their 15 days being posted, as well as a few others that were suggested. But next, not this coming Wednesday, but the next Wednesday, I should have a video about my up and comers and how they did in the lower divisions, and that's something we could take a look at later in the evening. But main bulk of what we're going to be doing right now is the Guess the Banzuke game, where again you would think things are going to fall nice and simply, but this is where the big question mark comes out. Takayasu, is he going to be taking a komusubi slot, or is he moving to Sekiwake? I am in the camp that he's moving to Sekiwake, and I can show you mathematically why I think that. And of course, you know, it's Daisho fans are going to be mad because Daisho went 13-2 from Maegashira 1 and only got bumped up to komusubi, but this is different. Takayasu is a former Ozeki. And what I'm going to show you here is across 4 basho, we're going to have at the 4th basho going to be an Ozeki. At the 3rd basho, Sekiwake. And then of course down here going to be Maegashira 4 in the 1st basho. The 2nd basho doesn't really matter where they are. And the reason why we're doing that is because if we want to look at Takayasu from Maegashira 4, 11-4 Jun Yusho, Maegashira 1, a 12-3 playoff loss. And despite the fact that there are only 3 Ozeki pushes in history that started from this rank of Maegashira 4, dating all the way back to 1939, I think Takayasu has a chance to get there. And I think it's because he is former Ozeki and because he's already coming off of, like, these are strong scores for Maegashira 4. And sure, on 2 of them, they were already at Sekiwake. But if we want to take a step back and even do something like just M in general, because, you know, everyone's got to start from somewhere. Maybe it's Maegashira 4, maybe it's Maegashira 1, Maegashira 5. That doesn't really matter. We can actually look at the lowest rank one of these Ozeki pushes started from. And, well, that would be Maegashira 9 from back in 1933, so we don't really count those. But we do have, you know, the Maegashira 4 with Kaiketsu that we saw earlier from 1976. We have another 11-4, 1962 for Tochi Hikari, another 10-4 from Akinoumi in 1939. Hell, Tochi Noshin was from Maegashira 3 with a 14-1 Yusho. Now, sure, Takayasu doesn't have a Yusho here. He has a Jun Yusho, and he has a 12-3 playoff loss from Maegashira 1. But, and I don't know this for sure. Apparently, rather, I have been told there isn't a hard rule for you need to be a Sekiwake before jumping up to Ozeki, which I think is incorrect. I think you do need to be a Sekiwake. Like, let's do, let's just take away the rank of S and see if the search gets expanded at all, which it doesn't, I don't think. Yeah, it's the same search. So it looks like you have to be Sekiwake in order to jump up to Ozeki, which, if anything, it added a few that, you know, were halfway through their runs and became Ozeki. So that didn't really help us out there. So we have to do Sekiwake here. We could even do something like this: Maegashira, Sekiwake, Ozeki in the search, which has happened a small handful of times. And sure, the dates don't really help us out because the last time that something like that happened was about 90 years ago with Itsutsushima. What is up, Aiden? How are you doing tonight? We're just discussing a possible Ozeki push for Takayasu here. But even with this, like, lower chance of something happening, it still happened in the past. Like, sure, again, it happened all the way back when there was only, what, 2 tournaments a year before World War II? So, you know, mathematically, this is going to be one of the first times Takayasu's jump has ever happened, especially when there is already a logjam at the top. And that's kind of the second question that we're going to have. Is there still going to be a second Komusubi slot? And if there is, you know, who gets screwed out of it? Or is there not going to be a second Komusubi slot, which really only screws over Kotonowaka? Because if we do something like this, where Kotonowaka is in that second Komusubi slot, Kiribayama moves over, Mitakeumi might move down to Maegashira 1 or that other Komusubi slot, we do have something with the likes of Tobizaru and Daisho possibly keeping their rank. But if we remove this Komusubi slot, scooch everybody up, now we have Kiribayama moving here. Tamawashi is definitely going to be moving down, so possibly around Maegashira 2. Tobizaru and Daisho could very easily slot into Maegashira 1. Kotonowaka jumps up to Komusubi, and then Meisei gets screwed. So maybe Tobizaru and Daisho scooch down one, and maybe the only person really getting screwed here is going to be Abi, who very low chance he's going to jump up to the Maegashira 1 rank anyway. But this second Komusubi slot, it's really unusual. Are we going to have it? I don't think so. I would like it to continue existing, but I don't think we're going to have it. If anything, you know, some people have suggested they won't put Takayasu at Sekiwake. Instead, they'll put Takayasu at Komusubi behind Kiribayama and then have Kotonowaka come up. That way they have three Komusubi and 3 Sekiwake slots, but I think it slots in a little bit better if we put Takayasu at Sekiwake anyway. Plus, he's at 23 wins in 2 tournaments. All he needs is 10 wins at the next tournament, and he will regain Ozeki the hard way for the second time, which the last time that happened was Teruno Fuji, and the last time that happened before that was like some dude in the 40s, if I remember correctly. It is very, very rare that someone loses the rank of Ozeki and then regains it the hard way, whereas Shodai, all he needs is 10 wins. All Shodai needs is 10 wins. Mitakeumi, he needed 10 wins, he lost it. He doesn't get that. Takayasu, he needs 10 wins. I think they give him Sekiwake. I think they give him the chance. And I think he is most likely to get back up into Ozeki. And I would really like to see that. That being said, I do think they remove that second Komusubi slot because Tobizaru and Daisho are going to be demoted, air quotes. And by demoted, I mean they're just going to be basically kicked out of those ranks and kind of be forced to take a pay cut, really, because that's the most important thing going on here. Komusubi, we obviously have Kiribayama moving up and over. Kotonowaka is going to fill in that second slot. Meisei is going to move up a rank. And then we have a little bit of a logjam at who's going to be the losers. I think we're going to have something like this, where Tobizaru moves down a rank and a half, Daisho moves down a rank and a half, Mitakeumi moves down right here, and then Tamawashi moves down right here. And I think also because of the way the rest of the Banzuke falls, this might be likely, but we are forgetting Wakamoto Haru here. We already have Meisei slotted up there, so if anything, Wakamoto Haru could squeeze up here next to the Maegashira 1 and then scooch everyone down basically 2 full ranks. But I do want to consult the Banzuke and see, let's see, Komusubi with a 7 and 8 falling to Maegashira. Let's see how often they fall. I mean, see a 7 and 8 falling to Maegashira 5 or Maegashira 1. There's a couple of extras there, but we're mostly looking for recent results and how far they fall. Usually a Komusubi at 7 and 8 falls to Maegashira 1, but here we have Komusubi 2 falling to Maegashira 2 with Hokuto Fuji back in 2019. We also have, if we want to scroll back to that first page, Komusubi 2 Haridashi falling to Maegashira 1. So really we don't have that many examples to see. We have only a small sample size, and most of them fall to Maegashira 1 anyway. So it could be technically an unprecedented drop down to the next rung. The new Banzuke gets released either the first week of January or the last week of December. I actually don't know off the top of my head, but that's a good question, Quinn. If someone could look that up, I would appreciate that. But yeah, already for Daisho falling to Maegashira 2, that's an air quotes unprecedented drop. Whereas we can also factor in Mitakeyumi falling to that next rank. Oops, my outfit changed. Sekiwake 2 falling to Maegashira 1. Sekiwake 1 falling to Maegashira 2 off of a 6 and 9. A lot of the times it's going to be either to Maegashira 2 or 1. So having Mitakeyumi fall to Maegashira 3 would also be unprecedented, which is kind of why I'm thinking, like, how often does this situation happen where there's a Komusubi that gets a losing record and stays Komusubi? Well, let's see. Very, very rarely. Also very rarely. We have Wakanohana in the 50s. Mitakeyumi falling a half of a rank in 2019. Tochi Noshin falling a half of a rank. But it's never falling to Komusubi 2, or in this case, keeping their Komusubi 2 rank. So these Komusubi have to fall. There is not going to be a Komusubi 2 rank, which I would like it if there was. Or maybe there will be, and Meisei, and like it's going to be Meisei, Kotonowaka, Wakamoto Haru up in Komusubi 2, and Tobizaru, Daisho, Mitakeyumi, Tamawashi falling to Maegashiras 1 through 3. So that's really the big question here. Is there going to be Komusubi 2 alongside the Sekiwake 2? Is Takayasu going to have Sekiwake 2 or Komusubi 1, and they keep open another Komusubi 2 rank to maybe keep Mitakeyumi up there or to promote Kotonowaka up there? We just don't really know. And if it were me making the Banzuke, I would have a Komusubi 2 slot open. I would put Meisei and Wakamoto Haru up there. Then I would demote Tobizaru and Daisho to Maegashira 1, Mitakeyumi, Tamawashi to Maegashira 2, and it would be just that clean. But I wouldn't know how to see if there are, like, how often there's a Komusubi 2 and a Sekiwake 2 on the Banzuke. I don't know if there is a way to search that on here. Like, how often are there Komusubi 2 and Sekiwake 2, and how often are all of those ranks full? And honestly, it's a hard sell. It's hard to sell. Because they wouldn't open, that's the thing too. They wouldn't open up a Komusubi 2 slot for a 9 and 6 from Maegashira 1. They would only do that for a double-digit scoreline. Like if Kotonowaka had a 10 and 5, they would probably keep open a Komusubi 2 slot for him. But they're probably not going to do that because he got a 9 and 6, because Meisei got a 9 and 6. So we're probably only going to have something like this where, here, let me start scooching people down and over. And you over, both of you over, and Wakamoto Haru right up here in Maegashira 1. This is probably the most likely result, which on paper is going to be unprecedented drops from Mitakeyumi and both of the Komusubi who are dropping to Maegashira 2, because not only is their rank being erased, which bumps up the numbers up the Banzuke, but they're also falling down the Banzuke. So a Komusubi 2 falling to Maegashira 2 off of the back of 7 and 8. Last time that happened was Hokuto Fuji, and well, we can actually see the last time that happened on the Banzuke. So let me find Hokuto Fuji here. Let me look at his Komusubi 2 7 and 8, and we can check out what happened on this Banzuke here. Asanayama was on it. There were only 2 Sekiwake for Komusubi. Abi was a Komusubi back then. Hokuto Fuji dropped to Maegashira 2 because we had Daieisho and Myogiryu kind of jump up over him, and I'm willing to bet at that next Banzuke, those Komusubi 2 slots were gone. So when we look at 2020 January, Komusubi 2 slots were indeed gone. And that's why Hokuto Fuji dropped 2 ranks, air quotes 2 ranks, because he dropped 1 rank. Yeah, let's even it up. Like, he dropped literally 1 spot on the Banzuke. But the ranks were brought upwards. So actually, because of the falling Ozeki as well, yeah, because Takayasu fell as Ozeki as well, he actually only fell 1 rank. Or not even. He stayed the same rank on the Banzuke numerically. Hakuho Kakudu, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh yeah, and Goedo retired. So there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people above him. He was ranked 10 on the Banzuke. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So he fell a half of a rank. He fell literally 1 number down the Banzuke, but he fell 2 ranks because of the way the Banzuke works. So something like that, I think, is going to happen here. I don't think it's going to be that huge of an issue. And this is definitely the most comfortable way this top of the Banzuke falls. The rest of it, well, this is where we get into more uncharted territory. Midori Fuji with an 8 and 7. He needs to move up. He can't go down the Banzuke with an 8 and 7. But then that means one of these losers is going to get completely screwed. And possibly both of these losers in Mitakeumi and Tamawashi get completely screwed. Because the rest of these guys, they can do whatever the hell they want. So, Midori Fuji is the only, like, real question mark here. He needs to scooch up into this Maegashira 3, which does give Tamawashi an unprecedented fall from Komusubi with that 6 and 9 scoreline. So, if we want to look at Komusubi 6 and 9... then we can see, I guess it's not unprecedented, but let me see here. Basho 2, a lot of them fall to Maegashira 1, some of them to Maegashira 2. Very rarely do they fall to Maegashira 4 and 5. The last time it happened was Tochinoshin back in 2011. So not an unprecedented fall for Tamawashi, but it is a big tumble. And I mean, that's the way it kind of fits perfectly, though. Except Sadano Umi also needs to go up at least a half of a rank. So that means Tamawashi would probably fall over here, Sadano Umi up here, and then Nishiki Fuji would probably get screwed numerically. Unless they really make Tamawashi tumble. But now this is where it's going to start getting easier. Hokuto Fuji might fall, or it might even stay the same rank. Let's be real, because now we're going to have M17 show up. Let's see. Sadano Umi needs to technically move up to Maegashira 4, so we probably have Tamawashi scoot down. Sadano Umi over here. Let's see, am I missing anyone else from up here? Ichi no Jo and Uda need to fall about 7 ranks each. Oops, I shouldn't be cutting them. And Uda. These two should actually be down 1. Let's see. Nishiki Fuji needs to be slotted. Yeah, that's so I was reading one of the sumo forums, and someone I didn't really read deep into it, but someone mentioned that Tamawashi would need to take a really big, like really hard stumble, and he would get screwed with an over demotion. And I'm like, it can't be that bad. But now it's like, okay, it is going to be that bad for him. Off of a 6 and 9, falling all the way down to Maegashira 5 West. I mean, that's the only real comfortable way that this falls. Because then you can have Hokuto Fuji. Well, now we have Ryuden and Nishikigi underneath, so Hokuto Fuji could easily fall like that. Ryuden can leapfrog Nishikigi. Oh, Ryuden can leapfrog Nishikigi, which actually no, he can't. So now Nishikigi needs to move up at least a half of a rank, so Tamawashi needs to fall to Maegashira 6. And yeah, I guess that's what someone meant by Tamawashi needs to take a huge tumble, because that's not fair to him. But everyone with a winning record needs to move up. But because the Komusubi slot has been removed, you know what? Maybe we can query the Banzuke about this. So like, let's say we're Maegashira 4 with an 8 and 7. How often do you actually move up? Oh, well, we have an example right here in 56. Oops, I didn't actually want to click on that Banzuke. But let's see the most unfair. We have in 56 Anenyama. Anenyama didn't move up a single rank with his 8 and 7. Since then, they will always move up at least one half of a rank. And because of that kind of, I don't know if it's a hard rule or if it's just a very big suggestion, but Endo moving up a half of a rank, Fujinokawa moving up a half of a rank, Endo again moving up one full rank, like, oh, Kotoyuki moving up one full rank. Like, these guys, because of their winning records, need to technically move up a rank. And I do want to see these two Banzuke from the 50s. What happens here with the Anenyama? So they had 4 Yokozuna, they had 3 Ozeki, 3 Sekiwake, 3 Komusubi. Then they got rid of a Sekiwake and a Komusubi, and that's why he didn't move up any ranks. So we do have a precedent here. We have 2 slots being pushed up from underneath him, and so technically he moved up 2 ranks, but on paper, that's not the way it actually fell. So with something like that happening, we could have Sarano Umi. Oh, wait, I have Sarano Umi twice right here. Hold on. I might be screwing things up right now. So that might actually make things a little bit simpler for us now. So because we accidentally have 2 Sarano Umis, we can scooch everybody over. We can save Tamawashi. Ryuden won't leapfrog Nishikigi. He'll just move up a half of a rank. And now this looks a little bit cleaner. And then we have Myogiryu pop up. And now this looks a little bit cleaner. And that's probably, you know, it's not a guarantee, but this is probably how it's going to fall. So now from here, we have a lot of other losers we need to take into account. Endo moving down 3. Takeda Fuji possibly falling off the Banzuke. Might be getting saved though. Tochinoshin falling down maybe 3. Takanosho maybe only falling down 1, but you know, we don't really know. Abi, well, now here's another problem. Abi needs to move up the Banzuke. And now how do we scooch him in? And this is where it gets tough again, because now we're either going to have Tamawashi take a very big fall, or some of these guys only move up, like maybe not even move up a rank, and that doesn't happen too often. So I think what we'll do is come back to this top. We'll come back to this later. We'll work on the bottom now. So Hirado Umi is going to move up 5, probably more. Terutsuyoshi falls off. That's just a given. Atami Fuji falls off. Kageyaki, he's going to move up. moves up about 3. Ichi Yamamoto might just keep rank. Same with Azumariu. Okinoumi might move up. Oho gonna move up. Kotoeko might move down. Shoho might move down. Onosho is gonna move up. Aoyama. Well, no, he can't be there. Aoyama and Chiyoshoma. So we're gonna have a big logjam right here in the middle. But if we want to push people up, well, we do have Chiyotairyu is obviously falling out. He retired. So we have 3 open slots minimum. We have to see who fills in these open slots at the bottom. Obviously, Tsurugisho, most likely Chiyomaru and Bushozan. So Tsurugisho, he's going to be moving back up to the east side. We have Chiyomaru, going to fill up one of those slots as well. Bushozan. And then maybe Mitoryu if they drop Takeda Fuji. Maybe Mitoryu if they drop Takeda Fuji. So let's query the Banzuke. We have an M8 that went 3 and 12. How often do they fall to Judio? Well, about 50-50. It doesn't happen too often, but about 50-50 on whether or not they will actually fall down to Judio. Now, to counteract that, how often does a Judio 3 with a 9 and 6 make it up to the top division? Pretty often it seems. Pretty often. So, roughly 50-50 chance that they demote Takeda Fuji and promote Mitoryu. Roughly 50-50 chance, I think. It's gonna be hard. Because, again, the guarantees are Terutsuyoshi, Atami Fuji, and the retired Chiyotairyu. Then Tsurugisho 10 and 5, no question. Chiyomaru 8 and 7, no question. Bushozan is just the next closest guy, and we can't have Aqua Hokuseiho or anyone lower than that really make their way up into the top division. So the real question is, who's going to be at the bottom of this Banzuke? Who's Maegashira 16, or rather, who's Maegashira 17 West? Who is that going to be? And I think Maegashira 17 West is going to be Takeda Fuji because he is a veteran. I think they keep it for Takeda Fuji. Mitoryu stays just below. And then we have Bushozan, Tsurugisho, and Chiyomaru fill in the bottom. From there, we can have Ichi Yamamoto and Azumariu. Mathematically, they keep their same rank, but they fall 1 on the Banzuke. And that's really the annoying thing here, is mathematically staying the same, or mathematically being in the same spot, but because of the way the Banzuke is written, technically they do have to rise and fall. And that is why there may be a case for Komusubi 2. That way, some of these guys on paper don't get so demoted, or so don't get under promoted. So that could be a reason why we see a Komusubi 2. I'm still honestly on the fence about whether or not I think there's going to be a Komusubi 2. I don't think it's very likely, and if I want to check real quick what other people are thinking, I don't see other people showing Komusubi 2. If anything, they might just be way under promoting some other guys, which that just might be how it needs to happen so Tamawashi doesn't get way murdered by this Banzuke. Some people, well, when they have the Komusubi 2, they aren't putting Takayasu at Sekiwake, And that's really what's that would also be throwing a wrench into it. It's really hard. And it's a very unusual. Let me see. Yeah, another person has 3 Komusubi slots, then in Maegashira 17, which I don't agree with that either. Because that's the one thing that they want to keep solid on a Banzuke is they want it to be even on both sides. So they don't usually want to have a Maegashira 17 east and no west, that kind of thing. So it's very unlikely that something like that happens. I also saw that a lot of people thought Aqua is going to be pushed up too, which, let me do my math here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 7, 8, 9, 30, 41, 2. Yeah, so I have 42 people here already, so there's no room for Aqua in my universe. I think it's Bushozan, Chiyomaru and Tsurugisho, Ichiyamamoto and Azumaryu, and yeah, I think it's just easier if there's a Komusubi 2, but I don't think there is going to be a Komusubi 2. If there is, I would be happy. And if anything, I might submit 2 Banzuke. One where there is a Komusubi 2 and one where there isn't one. Yes, I do remember we had a Maegashira 18 for a short while. But I think what's most likely is there is only one Komusubi slot. I think I might submit a second Banzuke just to see if there is a second Komusubi slot, and I'm not going to abuse that in the future to try to get, you know, more points to make myself look better, that kind of thing. I think this is rough. This is really rough. Because I still need to slot Abi somewhere up here. 12 and 3, that's a +9. He could easily fall anywhere between Maegashira 4 or 1. There's no room for him at 1. He could go to Maegashira 2. And I think that's where I would put him. But that means I need to slot a lot of these guys a little bit lower. Midori Fuji needs to be here. Mitakeyumi needs to be up here too. Like, where am I putting these guys? Do I over-demote Mitakeyumi to fit Abi up here? Like, do I put Mitakeyumi over here, Abi right there, scooch down Sadano Umi and Nishiki Fuji? Even though Sadano Umi would keep the same rank, Nishiki Fuji would move up half of her rank, Nishikigi would move up half of her rank, Tamawashi would get absolutely screwed with a -6 off of a 6 and 9, and that's just not fair to him either. That's why I hate the removal of this Komusubi 2 slot. Because if it were there, then we wouldn't be having these issues here in the top of this Banzuke. And it would just be easier. So let me go back to the bottom of the Banzuke real quick. Kotoeko, he's going to be falling. Maegashira 14 west, probably. Okino Umi needs to move up. The next person to move down. A lot of people are like right next to each other with 7 and 8s in the scoreline, so it's probably going to be Koto Shoho right above Kotoeko. Nothing complicated there. Oops. Ooh, pardon me. And Chiyoshima, Aoyama right above them. Okino Umi, Kageaki are probably going to be next to each other right up here. If anything, we might have Tochinoshin fall as well, because he had a 6 and 9, but he's not going to fall that far. Let's see, Ichinojo needs to slot somewhere up here as well. Man, this is rough. This is a hard Banzuke. you could see Takayumi getting an over demotion. I'm thinking that, but I don't think it's going to be that hard because he's falling from Sekiwake. I feel like he needs to fall to like Maegashira 3 maximum. But because of the logjam at the top, some of these guys with 8 and 7s would mathematically move down ranks. Like, let me see, like, Maegashira 8 and 7. Like, how would we even be able to check if they move down or stay the same rank? Let's see, move up half of a rank minimum for like 90% of these guys. Kiribayama moved up into Komusubi 2 with an 8 and 7. You know what? This gives me some insight. Kiribayama moved up to Komusubi 2 with an 8 and 7. Oshoryu moved up with a 9 and 6, mostly because Daisho fell, but Daisho did fall. Oshoryu moved up, Abi moved over, Kiribayama moved up, Ichinojo made it in. So that does give us a little bit of insight into what might happen here, because Kotonowaka is a 9 and 6 from Maegashira 1 West. That's different than being in Maegashira 1 East. We also do have 3 people falling out of the Komusubi slots. It does give us some good insight. Oh, pardon me. Thank you. Let's look at Maegashira 1. Let's see how often that happens. Let's go to the latest Banzukes. So, it happened with Kiribayama, Daisho from March to May. What else happened here? Wakataka 1. Yeah, Daisho moved up mostly because Takanosho moved down. So, nothing special there. Daisho again. Daisho again. Just keep checking out these Daisho Banzuke. Because Endo and Hokuto Fuji fell. So nothing special happened there. Okay, here's a good example. We had 3 Ozeki, 2 or 4 Komusubi. Abi and okay, Endo and Hokuto Fuji lost. Asanayama got promoted. And then it fell back to 2 Komusubi slots. With Daisho getting the promo. Damn, Daisho. Damn, Daniel. Let's see. Let's go back to Aoyama. Oh, that's Toyonoshima. Let's see. Yeah, just people moving down and him moving up. Let's look closer at Maegashira 1 West. With a 9 and 6. Sometimes I get Sekiwake. Doesn't happen too often, and sometimes I even get stuck at Maegashira 1 East. Musubi 2 happened with Takatoriki. And there was a logjam at the top here. 4 Ozeki, 1 Yokozuna. Takatoriki opened up a slot for himself with a 9 and 6. When there was otherwise no room at the top for him. So the thing that's going to be happening here is there is no room for a loser to keep their Komusubi rank. So 7 and 8 from Komusubi 2 does not keep their rank. They 100% fall. Kotonowaka and Meisei could make the case to open up their own Komusubi ranks. Wakamoto Haru as well. Let's see Maegashira 4. 10 and 5 going to Komusubi. How often does that happen? Well, it happened with Abi. Happened with Abi, Yoshikaze, Ami Nishiki. What else is happening on these Banzuke is the question. So Abi 10 and 5. Tamawashi also got a 10 and 5. Ryuden also got a 10 and 5. So we had Abi and Ryuden with Tamawashi going up to Sekiwake because Ichinojo and Aoyama fell. Tochinoshin went back up to Ozeki, so that freed up 2 Sekiwake slots, and everyone else above them lost. So Tamawashi slotted up there perfectly. Takakeisho Mitakayumi moved up. So that doesn't really tell us much either. Let's see what happened with Yoshikaze here. Yoshikaze 10 and 5. Toyonoshima and Shoholzan both fell. Oshu retired from Sekiwake. Goedo 12 and 3. Kisano Sato was Ozeki. So basically, it's the case of a lot of people vacating and other people moving up. Now let's see. This one might be the most relevant. Fuji Nishiki moving up to Komusubi 2 Haridashi. So Fuji Nishiki, Komusubi 2, or Maegashira 4, 10 and 5, had another 10 and 5 move up with him. 2 guys at 8 and 7. 1 Sekiwake moved down. Everybody else above 1. So here they opened up that second Komusubi slot. Well, Anneyama is on this one too. We talked about him earlier. Fuji Nishiki 10 and 5. Who moved up with him? It was Tsurugamine and Fusanishiki. Fusanishiki was already up there. So yeah, they opened up 2 Komusubi slots for a 10 and 5. So this might give us the argument that we can have those second Komusubi slots. And if we have that, the Banzuke just falls so much better. Because now we don't have to worry about over-demoting someone like Mitakayumi. And I feel like that might work for us. We don't over-demote Mitakayumi because even though they'll stay the same rank mathematically, technically some of these guys will be moving up the Banzuke. So for someone like Hokuto Fuji, we could scooch him over. Myogiryu, we could scooch him over. Ryuden, moving up from Maegashira 6 to Maegashira 5. Tamawashi, we might be able to just keep there because Nishiki Fuji, we can scooch down like that. Nishikigi. Oh, it was Nishikigi that I moved down. So we could do something like this. And this works. This just works. If we keep 2 Komusubi slots open. But if we don't do that, then it's a lot more complicated with how everybody else has to fall. And it's a lot more complicated with like being unfair to a lot of people in poor promotions. So if we keep, and you know, we do have to consider the loss of the Yokozuna spot at the top. So if we scooch everybody up like this, and technically they are still moving up the Banzuke. I think, hold on, now let me see this real quick. Because that Yokozuna slot at the top was getting in the way a bit. So if we do something like this, you can kind of get a better view of what's happening here on the Banzuke. And no, I still think I like Komusubi too. This is actually the longest I've worked on one of these in recent memory. So I hope you guys are enjoying this content. So let's see. From here, that makes things a lot easier too. We have Ichinojo 4 and 11. He's gonna fall behind. He's gonna fall below Oho. Let's be real. So Hirada Umi as well. I don't think he's gonna get over promoted that much, but we can have something like Ichinojo and Uda fall right here at Maegashira 8. Let's see. I'm just gonna move that red square out of the way. We can scooch people down until we get comfortable with it, because from the bottom we already worked on that and we were happy with that. Hirado Umi moving up to Maegashira 9. I think this right now is fine. I think this is fine. I did move everyone up so you can get a better mathematical view, but I think if we move everyone down so that the Maegashira 16 is even, I think we do have a better view of what might be going on here. So this is what's going to be giving you, this is what I think is going to be the Banzuke here. Komusubi 2 just makes everything so much cleaner. Like, I don't really care that there is no precedent for it. I'm just kind of doing what I feel works the best and what I feel would be the most fair to the most Rikshi. And this is the conclusion I'm coming to. This is, I think, the best for everyone on the Banzuke. This is, again, like, of course, not every single Banzuke is the most fair. And of course, I am also putting in my own 2 cents of what I want to have happen the most with Takayasu getting Sekiwake in the first place, which, if we didn't have that, then he would be sitting at Komusubi 1 next to Kiribayama with Kotonowaka at Komusubi 2, Meisei at Maegashira 1, and we'd still have the issue of over demotions on people like Mitakeyumi and Tamawashi, and under promotions of people like Ryuden, Nishikigi, and Nishikifuji, because then they just straight up mathematically would not move up at all, which is not fair to them and has happened so few times in history that I feel like it's more likely they have 2 Sekiwake, 2 Komusubi than it is they have 4 or 5 different people not move up a single rank. Hell, they could even have Ryuden like come up here with Tamawashi. And there, now Tamawashi is a bit over demoted. Nah. Yeah, I mean, that's something else. I'm not sure if that's going to be it. Hello, aspiratic traffic. Hope you're having a wonderful night. You are coming to the end of our evening here as we finalize our Banzuke guesses here. I think the middle of the Banzuke was it was a big traffic jam, and usually what I do there is I just put losers below winners, which does screw things up a little bit. Nah, you're not late. It's okay. I'm going to be posting this VOD to YouTube anyway. So if you're watching here on Twitch, don't forget to go and follow my YouTube, Leo Dickinson Sumo on YouTube. Or if you are watching on YouTube, thank you very much. And be sure to keep on watching all my other videos. We have a lot more coming at you within the next few weeks. How do I have an avatar speaking for me? It is a program called vtuber Studio, where you can basically make your own art and upload it to this program. And, well, there's a lot of extra steps to it, but basically I'm using a program. You could either use FaceRig or vtuber Studio. vtuber Studio is free on Steam. It already has some like pre-coded characters that you can use, but this one I had custom made for myself. It is artwork that I commissioned and rigging, which is, you know, the actual moving around that I also had to get commissioned as well. So it's a little bit of money, but you could also just use a default avatar, which is perfectly fine in itself. So once again, I think this is what our guesses for the Banzuke are going to be. And now let me go and Oh, I guess I didn't mention that earlier, but thank you for bringing that up, Scandalous. There is indeed a rope run for Takayasu, and that was determined, well, it was basically restated by the Sumo Association. They said, like, a playoff loss is an equivalent result to a playoff win. So basically, the fact that he made it to a playoff gives him the right to go on a rope run. But the Yokozuna Decision Committee basically said he needs a very strong Yusho in January if he wants it, which a lot of people are saying this. It's very heavily implied he needs a Zensho Yusho in January or a 14-1 if he wants to become Yokozuna. Have I ever tried a sumo diet? No, because I don't want to gain more weight. I have been 260 pounds before, and I don't like that. All right, but yeah, let me just check other people's homework here. Let's see. Yeah, some other people do have the Komusubi slot open as well. Let's see, Wakamoto Haru, Midori Fuji. Maybe I'm over promoting Wakamoto Haru here. Maybe that could be an issue as well. Maybe Mitakayumi finds himself much higher and Wakamoto Haru is not promoted this high, which is also equally likely. Now I'm second guessing myself a little bit, which I think that's fine. Because Wakamoto Haru could be screwed, which has happened before. But it's like it's like we went over earlier. Wakamoto Haru, there is a precedent set for him to get Komusubi too, with Fuji Nishiki, all the way back here. It's tough. Let's see. Let me just check other people's homework some more. Who shows on Takeda Fuji? Tsurugisho Chiyomaru Azumaryu. Yamamoto Hiradoumi. That's an under promotion on Hiradoumi if I've ever seen one, and an under demotion on Takeda Fuji. Let's see. How tall am I? I am 5'10". Let's see. Yeah, other people have Wakamoto Haru at Maegashira 2. I have Tobizaru Daieisho at Maegashira 1. Midori Fuji Maegashira 3. I have a Maegashira 2. Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting Banzuke to try to call. This is going to be interesting, to say the least. Let's see, what does your homework say? Only 3 Sekiwake, but 4 Komusubi with Kotonowaka and Meisei. Tobizaru Daieisho, Wakamoto Haru at Maegashira 2. Yeah, I guess my issue with this Banzuke is that I am being very generous to Wakamoto Haru. And I am over demoting Mita and Tamawashi. Like, it's tough. This is very rough. But I think if I think about it anymore, my brain is going to explode. So, and I think an hour long for a video playing the Banzuke guessing game is a good spot to leave it at. So I will be leaving it here. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. I am going to go watch some Christmas movies with my lovely lady. And Well, I will be back next week. Next week we will be breaking down Abi's 12 wins and 3 losses in his Yusho winning performance. And if someone says it's a spoiler to say that Abi won the Yusho, then I'm going to slap them in the face, because I don't know. It's a live sport, guys. It's not a spoiler to say the next day, oh man, this guy won. Like, it's not a movie that some people haven't experienced yet. It's something that happened in real life. It's not a spoiler, guys. But that's the end of that little rant. Will I be rating anybody on the Twitch side? I don't know, but I will stop the recording here for YouTube. Thank you very much again for watching. I will catch you cats in the next one.